For March 10th at 3 p.m. Jody.
Please note, council meetings are streamed live and recorded on YouTube. Attendees acknowledge that in accordance with Section 17.2 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, names, addresses, and other details provided when speaking at a council meeting will be publicly shared. Should you have any questions related to the collection or disclosure of personal information, please contact the Legislative and Advisory Services Division for the Town of High River by sending an email to foip@highriver.ca.
Thanks, Jody. Adoption of the agenda. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn that Council adopt the agenda for this regular Council meeting March 10th as presented.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. You have the motion.
All in favour? Carried. And adoption of previous Council minutes. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Walsh that Council adopts the February 24th regular Council meeting minutes as presented.
You have my motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favour? Carried. Aquatics expansion change. Kaylee?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I am here to provide a quick update on the 2024 capital project, the aquatics expansion. Today's update is regards to the change directive 001, which is in relation to any changes that have been made as a result of the weeping tile design changes. So just a quick history on this. It was back in October during initial construction and excavation activities. The conditions were uncovered that required immediate action and a weeping tile design scope change, which has resulted in a baseline schedule change and delay along with some additional costs. There have been indications from both our stormwater consultant and also within the town that we've had some changes in our groundwater conditions. A geotechnical report was completed back in 2022 and a report finalized in 2023. However, conditions were different when we actually began construction. To note, similar solutions have been implemented in the town of High River as a result to this groundwater changes. Luckily, ours was during construction, so we are able to change the design scope to encompass the new conditions. So today's proposed recommendation will amend the original baseline schedule, which will be 7 weeks, which is an addition of 35 working days. However, the result will be a result of 6 weeks or 30 days in fees, so not a full 7 weeks in fees. The project team has explored some flexibility in some of the scheduling and programming to fend off any of these delay claims or by extending some of the closures. This was discussed at the February 10th committee of the whole meeting, but these options were not found to be desirable as they didn't result really in much of a credit or a change. Change orders to date, combined with this change directive, are totaling $1,014,804.58, which does still fall within our current project contingency. Now keep in mind, this does not include dewatering activities between the dates of December 22nd, 2024 and January 31st, 2025. Those values are currently under review through the progress claim for the month of February's work. So approved change orders to date total $264,481, and that is a result of any design changes that would have been taken place during construction, which, as per our review, have been fairly typical. The change directive that we are discussing today at this point is totaling $750,000, $332.96. And how that breaks down is your dewatering activities to date, or to the December 22nd date, totaled $117,591.97. Your revised weeping tile design is an estimated $360,839.30. And the scheduled delays that we're discussing today total $271,891.69. There also have been obviously some key schedule impact delays as a result to the delay in construction. Our old basin closure date was will now be November 11th versus September 19th. The full lobby closure will take place on December 4th rather than September 19th. The new basin opening will be about mid-December, which was originally at the beginning of October. Project completion is now projected out into June. So how do our changes compare to where we are today in construction? Our current project schedule sits us at about 35% complete through the process versus our current contingency commitment puts us at about 42%. Now, to keep this, I guess to provide some more information on the contingency spent to date. A lot of these change orders that we are approving today at that 35% milestone are actually for change orders that we will see actually come to life and actually cost in about 9 months, 10 months down the road. So we're quite a ways ahead on approving change orders versus where we actually are in the construction process, because a lot of this obviously has to be approved prior to so that you can order and schedule and have the construction completed. We do have a future closure coming up in the near future, and that will be with regards to any of the ductwork that is required to be completed with the temporary air handling unit, and that is getting that temporary handling ductwork in place. There will also be the ductwork that's the permanent ductwork for when our actual new air handling unit arrives on site in the near future. So that concludes my presentation, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Kaylee. Any questions from council? Councillor Nychuk.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. Sorry, I was just doing some gazintas here. What are we at total right now in terms of, we have an approved contingency of 2.4?
Yeah.
And where are we at?
Just over $1 million right now.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's what I thought we were at, but I just wanted to make sure.
For sure.
Thank you.
Councillor Kinghorn.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. $9,000 a day for late. How about if they're early? Do we get that $9,000 a day back? Just a question.
These are construction contractors, Jamie. Are you new?
Sounds like
Councillor Walsh.
Thank you. So with the balance of the contingency allotted, 1.25 roughly, are you comfortable with that going forward? Any unanticipated changes, cost changes, that kind of stuff?
So right now, I would say we're pushing back on everything we can because we do ultimately want to stay within our project budget. Right now, they've been receptive in coming back with different solutions on some items where maybe we don't agree with where they're going down the path. So I would say right now, I'm comfortable we'd be on par. So if I compare us back to the fire hall, I took a look at the fire hall and how that project progress, because similar, it was an expansion and a renovation. And so I would say we're on par for where we were with the fire hall in where we're at with change orders. So fairly typical. I mean, the only one that's really been out of sorts has been this water one. Again, we did the preemptive work with the geotechnical report. So it was just a matter of conditions were a little bit different than the report. But that is fixable by having a geotechnical on in order to do these design changes.
Thank you.
Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I just wanted to ask about the closure for the basin. So it will be closed for 1 month from November 11th to December 10th-ish?
That is correct. So that month gives us time to get our staff into the new basin once it's open so that we can actually do the training that is required. With the new water features we have at the pool, you have to be trained on the actual water features themselves. So we need them up and running and we need the space handed over to us. Same thing, similar with the water slide. We need our lifeguards actually trained on the water slide once we have our space actually available to us, because it also comes down to what they have available for their lifeguarding office and their first aid room. Some of that also comes down to getting the equipment. Once we get it running, we want to make sure we got it tuned so everything runs smooth and all of our staff are trained on how that equipment runs, so that if we do have to do any operational changes, we can do it with confidence, knowing that we're well trained and keep things run smoothly.
Perfect, thank you.
Councillor Nychuk.
Thanks, Mr. Snodgrass. I have two questions now, sort of. To Councillor Jones's point, and you talking about training and whatnot, do we have to wait until this particular water slide is up and functioning to train staff? Or have we looked at the opportunity to train outside of or train certain segments of training prior to an operational facility? Because I hesitate in the fact waiting for the water to be warm enough and running to start training people, that some components of training could happen prior to. Just a thought. And then coming to the contingency and 2.4, and we're not quite halfway spent through that. I guess I'll be blunt. I don't have an appetite for going over budget with the contingency. So do we have a plan A or a plan A and B or a plan A, B, and C on what we might not complete to the extent that we wanted to? I'm not saying we're going to leave a facility unfinished, but have we thought about what we might do to the expenditures to alleviate anything unforeseen in terms of spending that entire or beyond that entire contingency?
Yeah, so if we have any change orders that come forward, a lot of it comes forward and we evaluate, does it make sense to do it now with the project, or is it something we can do outside of the project? And what does that look like outside of the project? There are benefits sometimes of doing some of the stuff because there are efficiencies of doing them within the project. And so we're weighing that out to determine if there's an efficiency for it to be done in the project, we do our best to do it in the project. If there is no efficiency and it's something that we can do at a later date, that's how we're trying to weigh out all of our change orders to determine what is necessary versus what's nice. And so our goal also is not to go over budget. Our goal is to stay within budget. And so that means that every change order that comes through is evaluated on that basis.
Thanks for your diligence. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Kaylee. No further questions, so I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that Council direct administration to proceed with the acceptance of a scheduled delay of 6 weeks totaling $271,891.69 in fees.
Yeah, my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Kaylee. Councillor Board and Committee reports. Anybody? Board and Committee minutes. There's the Museum of the Highwood Board meeting minutes attached. Into public comments now. First one that we have is request to speak from John Brudensma, who's here with us today. So you can have the floor, John, if you want to come up front. I'll turn the mic.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for receiving me. My intent today is just to introduce myself as the Liberal candidate for the upcoming federal election and just give you a little bit of background about myself, not a stump per se, and then of course I would welcome you to contact me anytime after about policy and that. Like, probably going into election fairly soon. So, but anyway, so my name is John Brunsma. Grew up in the southern Alberta. Worked on my dad's 2 farms, so did all that stuff: hoeing beets, catching chickens, and irrigating by hand, and chasing cows. So, and then went up to Edmonton when I was 17, looking to get a college education, and so I went to NAIT. I obtained 3 diplomas. Most of that was done through night school because got married and had a child, so had to get out to work, and so I did want the education. So I have a diploma in instrumentation and as a technologist, and that's been my primary career, working in heavy industrial chemical plants throughout the province and some outside the province, and those were all basically for major multinational companies. I kind of got the itch to run my own business, and I did that for 10 years, running an EPC, so engineering, procurement, and construction, again for industrial controls through heavy industrial, and then a lot of water and wastewater treatment plants. And but I had a daughter and the family, and if you're all familiar running your own business, it takes up a lot of your time, and I prioritized that I needed to spend time with my daughter, and I sold the business off and took a job with a municipality in industrial controls for major water, wastewater treatment. And so I have a lot of regulatory background in that, and did that for a number of years, and then transitioned into cybersecurity for critical infrastructure. That's really basically saying, anything that the government thinks that could be hacked by a state actor, you have to prevent, because the essential services. And being in Alberta and love Alberta, like going into the backcountry, and that's one of the things that as a family we've hiked, canoed, and kayaked pretty much everywhere in the province, and so that's kind of my bio. And why am I running? I'm not a politician for sure. I'm kind of more the heads down and get to work kind of person, in whether it be engineering, design, or construction. But you'll probably hear this term too many times, but this, I believe, is the most consequential election that I think I'll have in my lifetime, due to the economic coercion that we're seeing from United States, our neighbor, and I can only tell you, just based on my own experience and research, I've done a number of research projects for disaster contingency, pandemic response, and that, and the signs are there that this could hurt the province and the country substantially, and it'll affect my grandkids, because I don't think what's going to happen is going to be just a 4-year and we're out of it type of thing. I'm worried about under these types of pressures, our government may make decisions that I don't agree with, as far as rolling back so much of the progress that we've made socially, environmentally, and I want my grandkids to have the same opportunities that I had, because I've had great jobs, good education was available to me. I was able to purchase a home, with a reasonable price, but I do know what it's like, because I moved down from Edmonton back into southern Alberta, because that's my roots. My mom is in Lethbridge with failing health, so we needed to get back for her as well as the grandkids that are here. Yeah, so that's kind of why I'm doing this. Is Liberals aren't the most popular group around in southern Alberta, but we do need an alternate voice to protect Alberta's interests, you know, from you know, some of the decisions that might be made to combat or react to some of the economic pressures, and I want to put Alberta first in the way that you know, I don't like that first, because I think Canada is first, but I do want to protect Alberta because I believe Albertans, you know, always want to do their share of whatever is needed to be done. So it's kind of a downer, but it is a very serious situation. And social justice is, tends to be one of the first things to go with some, you know, governments when the financial budgets aren't there. But I really want to press that we have a lot of needy people in this province, throughout the province, and want to be able to support those people and work hard. So that's why I'm doing it, and you know, I think Alberta and Canada will get through this, but it will be a little bit hard. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, John. Where do you live right now?
I'm in the Pass.
You're in the Pass.
Grandkids are in the Pass, and my mom's in Lethbridge, so it's kind of nice and close, and I can travel back and forth to assist with my mother. And then, of course, well, we're lots of activities with the grandkids and that there.
So you know I gotta ask,
Yes.
where are you at on the coal mining?
Well,
personally, I don't care what the party
I think
says.
because I'm here with a Liberal tag on here federally, I can only say that I do respect Alberta's jurisdiction and that, and but as a you know, a candidate federally, I really want to support the Federal Impact Assessment Act for any new projects, major projects. And that would be my focus as a Liberal to make sure we preserve, you know, the oversight that's necessary. I can't speak for the other parties, but I think they've made it clear what they think of Bill C-69, and so.
So you know you're gonna have to come out with a personal stance on the coal mining when the election shows up, right?
Yeah, when the writ is dropped, I'm sure.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, as our current MLA is experiencing, she vastly underestimated how important the coal mining piece is, and it's not going very well for her right now. So I'll make sure I can't stress it enough as to how big of an issue that truly is. And living in the Pass, I'm sure you know. So.
And it is a major issue for me personally, but you know, again, I don't think it's appropriate at this point to.
Yep. Any other questions from council? I don't see any. Thanks, John. Appreciate you coming. Other public comments. Carol, you had sent your email in. Do you want to come up and, yep.
Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to speak at the public comments section this afternoon. And first of all, Kaylee, I want to thank you so much for the clarity of your reports. I really appreciate how clear they are to understand. And you've got the numbers down, so I just wanted to let you know that, and I'm glad you're here so I can tell you that face to face. So my first question, and Councillor Nychuk kind of approached it, what he said it was about plans A, B, and C. My question is more about in the event that the contingency funds run out, since 1.014 million out of 2.4 has already been spent, not including the dewatering activities from December 22nd to January 31st. And I'm just kind of querying because when I was reading the geotechnical report that was presented in 2023, a portion should have been budgeted for dewatering based on prior geotechnical reports, and considering that we are entering a tariff war which will drive material costs up. So I was just kind of curious about if there is a plan B in case you do go over contingency.
Well, there's only one place the money can come, and that's from reserves.
Any specific ones though?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, and so if that does happen, is this type of information going to be posted on the website under project updates?
Yeah, as much as we're
okay. No,
updating everything right now, yep.
Okay, thank you. And then according to the RFD background, construction was commenced by Chandos Construction on July 8th, and that as construction got underway, it became apparent there was more groundwater than was indicated in the geotechnical work that was completed prior to design of the expansion. So I'm just inquiring, who is Chandos Construction using to conduct geotechnical field reviews on the groundwater levels during construction? Because in the BDT geotechnical evaluation dated January 2023, that report, it was made quite clear that groundwater was noted at depths ranging from 1.76 to 3.78 meters, and that levels should be expected to fluctuate in response to seasonal changes in climatic conditions.
Greg, I don't know, like, do you need to know exactly who it is? Like, is that
well, the reason
important,
being, Craig, is in just the mention about this differing water levels and was noted. If you notice that in 5.0 of that report, EDT themselves say that the recommendations are provided on the understanding and condition that BDT will be retained to review the relevant aspects of the final design and to conduct such field reviews as are necessary to ensure compliance with geotechnical aspects of the Canadian Foundation Engineering Manual, this report, and the final plans and specifications. BDT accepts no liability for any use of this report in the event BDT is not retained to provide these reviews. So this is where I'm kind of just wondering, like, who is doing the reviews? Is it BDT, or did Chandos opt for someone else?
Do you want to talk to that, Kaylee? Because there is a little bit of a change there.
Yeah, so BDT completed the initial design for the weeping tile system. So we had a weeping tile system right from day one inside, and a sump pump inside the design for this facility. So it was anticipated there would be water. BDT no longer exists. The principal passed away. So then Englobe is who the town has as a third-party geotech, which is typical for construction for us to retain geotech so that we can evaluate the current conditions. And that's who is continuing to evaluate the current conditions and who has assisted in providing the design for upgrading so that we can take on the current conditions versus what was seen in the original report.
Okay, thank you.
For sure.
And I think the important piece there, Carol, is that, you know, regardless, obviously, the initial consultant passed away and there was a change there, but, you know, at the end of the day, the number one thing we want is for this facility to be built properly, and what we do know now is that this weeping tile system, you know, regardless of whether it was done then or it's happening now, it is, the final design is built for worst case scenario conditions, so that's the important piece.
And you're right, I agree, because it was interesting because this report was very detailed and just saying that, because even with the, the 2021 one by McIntosh Lalani, they also were concurring that there's a lot of water to be recognized, because that was when they were hired to, remember, with the ice rink slabs and assessing the burying capacity. So they also noted existing ground surface water. And then just the comment, like in that report, about at the time of drilling, seepage and or sloughing was encountered in all of the boreholes, and groundwater levels were measured on December 23rd, and then there was that summary. So I just was curious about just consistency with the reporting. And then the other things just that I noted in my questions to Ledge Services to allow me to speak today is that just regarding the project update section about the pool, that currently the most recent is September 4th, and I trust that obviously that will be updated. And also, this would be a really nice place to put the links to the Committee of the Whole updates, as well as the Council RFDs regarding the pool expansion, because on people, it's just kind of like a one-stop shop where they can find information. And then same thing under that, the pool expansion, that the service disruption is outdated as well. And if maybe, as you mentioned, that Kaylee's updates today can be mentioned on there, just so people know exactly what the closures will be. Because currently it just says 2 closures of 4 to 7 days anticipated. So thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Carol. We'll make
Yeah.
sure that Kaylee and communications with the website and everything's updated appropriately, so thank you. Any other public comments before we move on? See none, hear none. Notre Dame Collegiate Graduation Invitation. Ask for a motion from Councillor Jones that Mayor and Council will notify administration of availability to attend and speak at the event on May 24th, 2025.
I'll give you that.
Question, Councillor Nychuk?
No, just I'll be there, so I'll just stand up right now and say, if unless the mayor wants to attend and speak, that I'll be present
No,
on
you
that
got
day.
something more important to be there for, though?
Do I?
Yeah. No?
Well, I
You got some-
can continue to glare at him so he knows this isn't the end of the road, that he still has to work more, so it'll be fine.
You're gonna get up front and have a mic. Poor kid. Motion from Councillor Jones, all in favor? Carried. Foothills Country Hospice, 2025 Hike for Hospice. What have we done in the past for the Hike for Hospice? Bueller?
In the past, you've decided to just continue with the large sponsorship of the gala every year.
Correct. So we do a large sponsorship for the hospice gala every year, and that's where we put our money to that. So I'm not even going to make the motion for this request, as we will be doing the larger donation when that comes forward for their gala. Moving into a closed meeting now. So I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk that council recess the regular council meeting March 10th at 3:33 p.m. and move into the closed meeting.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Todd Curran to the Assessment Review Board with the term ending date of October 31st, 2027. And the council approved the reappointment of my Sprung to the High River Library Board for a further term to expire October 31st, 2027. And the council appoint Faye Masher to the High River Library Board with a term ending date of October 31st, 2027. And further, that council direct administration to advertise openings for the remaining vacancies on the Town of High River boards and committees and return to council at a future date with recommendations.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Meeting adjourned 3:39.